Evolution, change, and growth. So this morning I was thinking, before I made this video for you all, about change and growth specifically. What was I thinking about? I was realizing, I guess you could say, that most of the folks in my world that I've ever come into contact with throughout the course of my life, for the most part, and yes, I'm kind of generalizing, however, speaking just about my specific experience in life, mostly the people that I've encountered in my life, whether those be friends and people that I got to know well, or whether those just be passing folks, I have noticed that they are being led, most likely, by their head rather than their heart. Why does this matter? Your head can take you a lot of places. Your good old brain, she can get you a lot of places. Our brains are our intelligence. Our brains are the things that label the world and categorize and put things in places. Of course, our brains are also responsible for a whole lot of things that aren't so fun that we experience as well. They're also responsible for growth and change and everything. And so I wanted to ask you, invite all of you to ask yourselves this question, to really take a minute, pause the video, pause your life for a minute, and ask yourself, am I being led by my heart, or have I been letting my mind, my logical idea of what I should do, be running the show? And the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I was also that person for the longest time. And I'm not kidding. Guys, you will know if you've followed the channel for honestly any length of time, more than say a few months or a year, you will know and will have seen the growth within me and the changes within me as a person. And also, like, well, mind you, I wasn't vlogging back then so much. There was a period where I was at first really gung-ho and ready to do that. And long story short, I went through my own personal phases, and now I'm in a much more authentic and more centered, grounded, happier version of myself now that is actually able to act upon my heart's desires rather than what I was doing, which again is the reason for this video and me wanting to ask you guys to ask yourself that question. Are you being led by your heart and yeah, because that's where your heart lives, up in there. Are you being led by your heart, or are you being led by your head? Because a lot of us it's just a byproduct of being alive and being human, I think. It's not like you did anything wrong because you fell into the hypnotic trance. It is called such because it is hypnotic. It is extremely easy to fall back into the rhythm that society would like us to stay in, outside of free thinking, outside of change, outside in our comfort zone, so comfortable that we're actually not comfortable because we're no longer seeking anything that would cause us to grow or shift our universe. And that's sort of the side point. I actually debated when I was making this video whether I should make it one or make it two. And I decided that the two things are intertwined. So if there comes a time where I need to make a video about the one thing and separate, then I will. For now, these are kind of in tandem. So it's sort of a two-parter in one of just which are you being led by, your head or your heart, and to do a check-in. And sincerely, I know it might sound fluffy bunny or whatever, or special snowflakey for me to say this. If you're not listening to your heart as your primary director, whatever, then I'm gonna guess that your life isn't as happy yet as it could be. And I would invite you with a whole heart and a joyful heart to explore more of the things that you love and to shake up this idea of what you think you need to adhere to, which was kind of part two of my message, which has to do with change and evolution and growth within ourselves. And I sort of touched on this just a tiny hair in one of my recent videos, and it's this idea of expectation. In fact, I think I did also do a whole video about it. If I can encourage you to do something else on this channel besides be a being of light and love, it would be to allow not only others to be free of expectations and to just drop your expectations, because honestly, most of the time they never come to pass anyway, and it's like silly that we got ourselves all wound up about whatever. My point is, dropping expectations, not just of others, the point here is to drop expectations even of yourself. An example that I recently gave in one of my other videos was about how I, for most of my life, have just kind of gone along with and fallen into this path of music. You guys know that. That was my path for most of life. I was trained in school for music performance, so I can play quite a few instruments, which is not to brag, it's just what I trained for. And the funny part to me about that, it's not like, oh, I suddenly don't love music. That is still a natural gift I'm blessed to have. And I do still absolutely adore and love to play music. It's not like that has shifted. However, the interesting part, and why I'm ultimately here again encouraging you guys to follow your own hearts, is because the really big and shocking thing for me of late has been my love for painting. Like, what? I always thought I was the musician type artist. So when I say to free even yourself from expectations, I really mean it. So let's just say, for a different example, and I think I also mentioned this similar example. Let's say you're in a part of the world where being a doctor is really like it's a valued profession everywhere, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying where maybe they encourage becoming a doctor more than they would in other parts of the world. You don't have to be a doctor. In fact, your talents may well not lie in being a doctor. Maybe they're in being a nurse. Maybe they're in being an athletic type swimmer. Maybe it's in being canoeing. I don't know. These are random weird examples, but you get my point, I think. Your talents can lie, well, two parts of this. One is that your talents are beautiful and blessed, and I would invite you to really embrace those talents that you do have. And the second thing that I would encourage you to do really strongly, as I think I mentioned again very briefly in the last or recent video, is to explore outside of simply what you are talented and gifted at, to try other things even then besides, like I said, what you're naturally good at. Let's say, for example, you're really good at fixing cars. Cool, keep doing that by all means if that's something you love. However, if you're, say, this is just an example, I don't know anyone this applies to, however, let's say your parents were like, no, you're going to be a car mechanic, and you've been following this path, but suddenly you come to realize that you're not actually, like, your heart's not really so much in this. You've been doing it to people please, essentially, your parents and things as survival. Suddenly you may understand that you don't have to do that. And in the process of discovering your other loves, which you do certainly have more than one love in your life, I'm sure. And I'm not talking romantic, I'm talking about passions and things. Explore that, because there is, as I said in the other video, there is so much out there to do. And really, I feel like I almost did myself a disservice by not exploring outside of the music route for so long. I am fully out of school and everything now, guys. Most of you know that. And yes, I could go back to school, and perhaps maybe I'll take a painting class. That aside, it's like, by now, I feel like this is probably my head talking. Like, I feel like, oh, I should certainly know what I like besides just music by now. So it's been this fun, albeit perhaps late, exploration journey of, well, what else might I like besides just music? I invite you to ask yourself the same question. Just, am I being led by my head or by my heart? And really, really check in, because let me impart this to you. The one thing that I have learned, really, honestly, kind of unconditionally, is that when you do something that you love, or when you find that thing that you love, like, this is perhaps a strange example, one creation within that thing which you actually adore and love is going to be so much more powerful and potent than anything that you could create from a space of being like, well, I guess I have to do this now. To which, on a final note, I would add, watch your language, and I don't mean in the sense of swearing, though yes, that does matter too, and even yours truly comically I'm working on cleaning up my mouth a little bit because I don't like the effect that cuss words often have. Sometimes they can be great for some little punch, and sometimes I'm like, nah. So what I mean by your language in this case, and I will do a whole other video about this soon, is just how you talk to yourself and the dialogue that really is going on. Because, for example, if you're telling yourself that you're such a piece of crap because you're not doing this or you're not doing that, or you're not able to do X well enough, let's say you're following a passion which you're good at, but it's not something you love, then again, I urge you to explore yourself. Know thyself, explore your life, and for goodness sake, don't limit yourself to one thing. You do not have to be locked into anything, no matter if it was you that got yourself locked in, no matter if it was your parents that's kind of said, or didn't even necessarily say, made you feel like, oh, I should be a doctor, I should be a lawyer, I should be this high-powered Uber thing. You are here to be exactly whatever it is you're here to be. And that may or may not be whatever it is your parents think, whatever society. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. As I will quote her again, because my dear mentor, Terry Cole Whitaker, just is so special. I think I'm probably going to scramble it up. Book title is something like, What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. And I really just love that. Although it's a title, it's also a quote. And honestly, what anybody thinks is none of our business. Like, if I could impress upon you too, that lesson from my life, Drop caring about what anyone thinks about you. It's not, other than perhaps the people that you love that are in your life, them I would listen to some extent. Even then, though, you need to listen to your heart at the end of the day, or you can kind of end up taking a way to your goal. And maybe some of you are into that. Maybe y'all like the roller coasters. Y'all know I ride Thunder Mountain. I don't ride the serious roller coasters because they would make me sick. Anyway, to each their own is my point. And to each person, you have no matter whether you think you do or you think you don't, I assure you, without even knowing you, you have a gift and a talent that is unique to you, and you're damn good at it. Forgive my French, but you're damn good at it. And nothing makes me happier than to see people exploring their passions, falling in love with their passions, and then really doing well with their passions. Really watching people embrace their authentic selves, as cheeky and cheesy as this may sound, really excites me and makes me so incredibly happy and thrilled to be living, to witness people's, I was going to say, I don't know what word I was looking for, like to see people succeed thrills the ever-loving words out of my mouth. Like, I love it. The only thing I love more is painting and doing things that put me in flow state within my own life. So before this gets too waffly, I hope this has been of some value to you. I hope you guys do really ask yourself that question: who's in charge here? This head honcho or this head honcho? Because this head honcho can get you into a lot of trouble, and this head honcho, and this little piggy went to market, and this little piggy had done wee all the way home. That's what I feel like right now. This head honcho will literally never steer you wrong. Following your heart, it may be hard sometimes. However, I assure you, when you're following your heart, you literally cannot go wrong. Your heart will never lie to you. It will give you the best red flag. It will be the clearest red flags and or go-aheads you've ever had. And this is the thing to listen to. And I know that a lot of us have gotten stuck or been stuck in this one for ages, years, decades. You deserve for yourself to break out of this confining system, to drop expectations even for yourself, seriously, and to be a free agent for joy and love. Be free to explore and enjoy what you are here to actually do. And again, I just invite you, because my exploration journey of that has been wild. If you think that I ever thought that I would be painting, you're crazy. I used to look at people who would paint and go, wow, I wish I could. And now I'm here painting. And mind you, like I said, I'm not good yet, but I know that by working at it, and I'm really loving it, that I will get better. And then who knows, maybe there's a future in art for me like that, and you never know where those things will take you. Don't self-annihilate. Anyway, this is going to turn into a tangent if I don't stop myself. So the point is, check in with yourself. Ask yourself if you're being led by your head or your heart. Redirect if you can to your heart, and realize that if you can, and accept that change, evolution, and growth are a natural part of life. And if you find that you haven't allowed change, or you haven't tried something new in a while, I really invite you to do so, because that simple act can really shift up the math, which can bring you better things in your life. So if this video has been of any help, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you know might benefit from it. Subscribe, as most of you aren't, and it really does help out a small creator like me to get the message out there and heard. And last but not least, if you do need support from me for anything, feel free to reach out at this email address, where I'd be happy to make contact with you and see how I can help you. Have a beautiful, blessed rest of your day or night, and I will see you, gorgeous cats, in the next video. Namaste, and huge big love. Bye. Stay well. I mean, I am fully, well, but so I invite yourself. Are you being led by your heart and yeah, because that's where your heart lives, up in there. Change, evolution, and growth. Why do I do hand gestures? I don't know, because I'm trying to come up with quirky thumbnails. Or you can kind of end up taking a way to your goal. And this little piggy went to market, and this little piggy had done wee all the way home. That's what I feel like right now. Love yourself enough to do something crazy like that.